Hey guys, T16 here, back again with another build. You've seen it in action, but now I'm going to talk a little bit about how it works. I'm going to talk about the gear, about the skills. They are linked to each other a little bit because a lot of it depends on the levels of the minion gems and whatnot. But yeah, let's get right into it, right? So first of all, we're just going to be using a Montragul's Grasp. So this is like the cheapest thing that you can buy on the build, and it's probably going to give you the best benefit out of every single item listed here. The reason for this is because you can use zombies from the start, and you can just make them a 6-link from you know, a pretty basic chess piece. And what you would do then is just equip this scepter, and you're going to have decent clear because the zombies are just going to like pop the enemies, and they're going to be dealing decent amounts of damage because of the bonuses from the scepter. In the scepter, what I placed inside is the punishment curse linked to Hex Bloom. The reason for the Hex Bloom is so you can apply the curses consistently throughout the map. You just cast it once, and to everything that it gets applied, as soon as they die, it spreads to adjacent enemies. So this is a really nice setup, and I'm just using Flame Dash for movement because I think this is the optimal way to move around. For example, when you're fighting something like a Searing Exarch, you want to jump over the balls, you want to jump over ledges constantly, and you know, it's just the best overall movement skill for this build. Next thing, we're using the Baron helmet, and this is actually a strength stacking build, so we're trying to get to 1500 strength. The reason for this is of course the Baron, because for every 500 strength we're getting extra zombies. At 1500 we get the 6th zombie. I'm still not there, I'm missing like 2 levels and then I'm gonna be able to get it. But yeah, basically you want to do that. If you're not going for this scepter, you can use something like a convening wand, and I would recommend actually this is probably the better route than just going the big zombies, but the only downside is you're not getting the explosions from the zombies. Then you're just going to have to swap something like multi-strike for melee splash, but that's absolutely fine, right? Convening wands are really good because you don't need too much intelligence. I'm missing literally 1 intelligence to wield one of these. But yeah, they would probably, if you roll a really good one, something like +1 to spells, +1 to minion gems, and a lot of good modifiers, it's 100% better than this one, because you get double the zombies back again, and the only thing that you're losing is the zombie damage. But you're getting damage on your skellies, and you're getting damage again on the zombies, right? From these ones, so they can be really good. But okay, I digress. Baron, you want to have 1000 strength at least, so you get a life leech from your minion damage. Every time minions deal damage, Baron provides you with the leech towards you. And this is actually the only way that we can restore life, so this is kind of important to get to 1000 strength. Until then, you only depend on life flasks. I got this Baron helmet that has the decent corruption. This one was fairly cheap, something like 50 chaos. You can buy something like that, and then you can farm the enchant later on. I haven't gotten to that yet. Inside, we're placing specters, because we want as much levels on the ones that want to survive. So this is the specters and the animated guardian. So animated guardian, ray specter are both here. They're getting +4 to levels, and we also link them to empower, so they're even beefier. And then we're linking them to meat shield as well, so they're just super beefy. The reason why you want to link your animated guardian to your meat shield is also that you want it to taunt, because one of the weapons that we are using on the animated guardian is the replica Allure Claw, which gives you 10% more damage to enemies that the animated guardian taunts. Because it can taunt with meat shield, it's kind of like 10% more free damage occasionally. So that's really nice, and then we can place Victario shield on the animated guardian to make sure that we have those frenzy charges constantly. So yeah, that's really nice. Next, we're just using jewelry that has a lot of strength. So you see a lot of strength here, a lot of strength here, strength here, and just resistances and whatever useful stat we can get is the rest of it. You want to have 2 bone rings, and you need to have jewels that give you... You need to have 2 jewels that are going to give you elemental resistances to minions, You need to have on your jewels at least 15%, another 15% to all ally res. You have, see, I have 10 here, I have 7 here, so that's that 15, 15 here, 15 here. And this basically caps all the resistances for your minions and makes them super tanky. Another thing that we're taking on the passive tree is just minion block. So we get 30% spell and attack block on all of our minions. Every time they block, your life gets restored. We also take minions leech life, so they get some life back when they're dealing damage, and we also take some regeneration here, regeneration there, and they're just, you know, constantly topped off and really tanky. The shield wants to have +1 to level of all minion skill gems. We're just trying to get as much levels on the minions so they're as tanky as possible so they don't die. The reason why I took this one is because I wanted strength on the shield as well, because this is a strength taking build, but this shield cannot roll strength, so you need to use essences of rage actually to force the strength on top of it. But for that I actually just bought a base that has the fractured mod level to all minion skill gems. I recommend you do the same. This costs 2 divine, but it's really worth it because then we can spend the essences to get that strength on top of it. And of course look out for any decent modifiers alongside that. I got lucky, I got some block, a really decent amount of block, minion damage, I even got some life, and I had an open suffix where I could place some resistances. So I just kept this, and this is an excellent shield. Inside of it we're just placing the generosity support linked to arrogance and linked to the red banner. The reason for this is because we want to reserve some of our life. So we're reserving some of our life because of arrogance, and the red banner no longer costs mana but life. And we're also buffing it with generosity. Why? Because the red banner only applies to enemies, so you don't need to worry about it not applying to you, right? There's just an extra buff for it. But the reason why we want to reserve life is because of our ascendancy. So our ascendancy gives us armor equal to the life reserved. So since we're reserving something like 1200 life, 160% of that gets applied to armor. So we're getting something like 10,000 armor just because we're reserving some life, and we're getting an extra aura on the build. Not only that, but we're getting a lot of energy shield because this is a hybrid build. We're getting a lot of shield from this one because we're reserving all of our mana almost as well. So it's a really nice combo. We're using, of course, Jeffrey's Sanctuary. I got one with a really nice corruption, so I just recommend you buy this one as well, because as I said at the start, you just want as much levels on your minions as possible. Something like this is nice, but you can go for something like +1 to level of Socrates gems. That's also fine as well. If you can get something like this, it's just gravy. I got this one, and then I just linked it with Tainted Currency. I just got a Corrupted Shaper Touch. This is super cheap. Something with 6% increase makes it like this is something like 10 chaos, you know. Just buy these gloves for 10 chaos. This one is a little bit more pricey, but you can 6-link it with Tainted Currency, so it's not that bad either. And the Alberon's Warpath. These ones were 1 divine, actually. But again, this is not completely necessary. I would recommend at least getting the corruption for +1 to level of Socrates gems, just like the chess piece as well, because you're going to be amplifying the gems inside, and this is going to be your auras, Tempest Sheet, Determination, Carrion Golem, and Feeding Frenzy. The reason why we link Feeding Frenzy to the Carrion Golem is because we want to apply the Feeding Frenzy to all of our minions, and something needs to proc it. And this one can be easily resummoned. Even if it dies, it doesn't matter too much. You can just resummon it. I have it on Shift T. You know, if I see that it dies, it doesn't even die that much because it's just so much levels on top of it. It's level 25, you know. So it just doesn't die anyway. But if it dies, you can easily resummon it. And on the gloves we have Desecrate, just to generate the corpses for our offering. The offering that we're using is Flesh Offering, of course, to give our minions much more attack speed, movement speed, stuff like that. You just keep casting that during the map. As you can see, your skeletons are permanent. They will die occasionally, but you can easily resummon them. It's not a problem. You summon like 4 of them at once, so and it's not that hard to resummon them. So it doesn't really matter if they die. It's only important that your zombies don't die, that your specters don't die, and that the animated guardian don't die. And they won't die because they're super tanky because of all of the stats. So the zombies and the skeletons are linked in the chess piece. So I have Empower here. The Empower gets buffed from the chess piece, +1 to level Socrates gems, so it's technically level 4. You can go crazy with this one. You can go Awakened Empower, which is going to be level 5 by itself, then it's going to get buffed by the chance, so it's going to be level 6, which in turn is going to buff everything else. So you can go really crazy with this, but okay, whatever. This should be Awakened Multi-Strike. Awakened minion damage is important because it gives +1 level to minion gems. Awakened melee phase, this one is important as well, because at level 5 you're going to get Intimidate, so all of your minions that are linked to here are going to intimidate enemies as well. This is 10% more damage, and we're just using basically 2 5 links. So we have Raised Zombie here and Summon Skeletons, so all of them are, both of those are getting buffs, and both of them are going to be dealing insane damage to the bosses, because both of them are 5 links. And yeah, the chess piece is basically your powerhouse that's going to generate damage. If you have corruptions like this, it's going to be insane. You know, of course, it gives you a lot of energy shield as well, because we're stacking a lot of strength. We're getting +2 maximum energy shield per 5 strength. Okay, so that's about it, about the gear. That's everything about the gear. The only thing that I didn't mention is Alberon's Warpath. Of course, you need this because increased strength. Again, we're just trying to get as much strength as possible. And the belt, of course, shit ton of strength. This one I crafted myself. Just get a heavy belt, item level 85. Craft it with fundamental fossils. You just need 1 socket resonators. Just you're gonna have to spend something like 55 of them to get something like this. But yeah, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for tier 1 attributes and the strength on top of it. Yeah, that's all of the gear. Passive 3, we're a guardian, just getting a shit ton of block. Onslaught for your allies, onslaught for you, attack speed for your allies, intimidate for your allies. Yeah, actually you're intimidating anyway, so you don't actually need to get the intimidate on the melee fizz, right? But it's good to have stronger gems. And what else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, the reservation. Just the reservation that we're getting is from this, and the reservation from the mana mastery here, and that's going to be sufficient for all of your auras. Everything else is just trying to get as much strength as possible, so we get the strength nodes here on every single jewel except the Watcher's Eye. We're trying to get strength as well. Strength here, and everything else. Oh yeah, this jewel as well, efficient training. This is going to give you a shit ton of strength because you're getting all of these get converted to strength, so it's like 60 strength around it, and it also gives 24 strength. So this one is important, and the rest of it is just trying to get a restoration for your energy shield. So energy shield gets restored by Divine Shield, by Sanctum of Thought, by the Mastery, recover 5% of energy shield or 1 second, and it gets restored by Zealot's Oath from our chest piece. So our life regeneration gets applied to energy shield. So you're constantly going to be rebuilding the energy shield, and you're going to get your life back just by getting the Baron 1000 strength. What else did I want to talk about? That's basically all of it. If you want any more information about the build, you can check it out in the forum guide, and that's about it, right? If you guys have any more questions, just feel free to ask me below the video or on the forum guide. I'm going to be responding to all of them. So yeah. Oh yeah, and of course, before we go, I'm using Lethal Pride, which is just getting you a bunch of strength here, a bunch of strength here, and some armor here, so you can get really decent bonuses to your notables, and of course it amplifies all the nodes to give even more strength. That's about it. Since we have a lot of nodes here, we're just trying to get as much as possible. And yeah, yeah, now I covered everything. That's all there is to it, and I'll see you guys around. Thank you for watching, bye bye.